They just changed everything. One Supreme Court decision has redrawn the map of U.S. immigration for families, for enforcement, for justice. If you or someone you love is caught in the system, you need to hear this. This is Immiscope, your trusted source for U.S. immigration news, policy changes, and visa updates. The Supreme Court just handed down a ruling that may reshape how America enforces immigration law, and whether families stay intact or get torn apart. On Decision Day, the U.S. Supreme Court issued a 6-3 ruling in a case that asked, who controls enforcement? For years, that question has haunted immigration debates. Does the executive branch get to pick and choose who to deport? Or must every deportation obey strict constitutional boundaries? This ruling lands at that fault line, and it might shift everything. Court issued what the case was about. At the heart of the case, the government's power to set enforcement priorities. In practice, that means deciding whether to target serious criminals or sweep in residents with no criminal history. The federal government argued, we have limited resources. We must be strategic. Opponents warned, prioritize enforcement, yes, but not at the cost of constitutional safeguards. In a 6-3 vote, the court affirmed that yes, the executive has some discretion, but with red lines. You cannot abandon due process, equal protection, or basic fairness. What the ruling actually says. The ruling establishes a new balance, targeted enforcement plus constitutional constraints. Key principles laid out. Deportations must respect constitutional protections. You can't rip someone from U.S. soil without fair process. Agencies like DHS, IC, USCIS, etc. may set priorities, but not at the expense of due process. Fast-track removals that skip hearings now face legal challenge. Discretion is affirmed, but only within procedural guardrails. So, the government can deprioritize certain cases, but not ignore rights. Who this helps, who this harms. Helps. Long-time residents with clean records, those who've lived quietly, worked, raised children, may now have stronger defense in court. Families separated by rigid enforcement. Fewer low-risk removals could mean fewer children left behind. Immigration advocates and attorneys, a tool to challenge arbitrary or summary deportations. Drawbacks/risks. Critics fear slowdown in enforcement. Fewer immediate removals may be seen as leniency. Backlog and delays. Courts and agencies must adjust, possibly slowing every case. Ambiguity and priority definitions. Who gets labeled low risk? That could be litigated, producing uneven access. How enforcement will shift. The ruling will ripple through many parts of the system. Removal proceedings. Undocumented individuals now have more basis to demand full hearings. Legal representation. Appeals, procedure review, those rights gain weight. Fast-track removals without hearings may now be vulnerable to challenge. Agency priorities. ICE, CBP, USCIS may shift toward investigating serious crime, national security threats, fraud. Low-priority cases, nonviolent, long-time residents, may be deferred. Internal policies, memos, training will need overhaul. Deferred action in programs like DACA, although not directly ruled on. The decision affirms executive discretion, so long as decision-making is constitutional. That could open room for renewed protections, expansion, or restoration. But each step must clear legal hurdles. Real-life scenarios. Scenario 1, Maria. Maria has lived in the U.S. for 14 years, has 2 children, both U.S. citizens, no criminal record. She faced removal under prior enforcement priorities. Post-ruling, she can argue her case should not be priority removal, forcing due process. Scenario 2, Juan. Juan was arrested for a serious felony. He falls squarely in the high-priority bucket. This ruling does not shield him from removal, just ensures fair hearings before action. These contrasting stories show the ruling doesn't guard everyone equally, but it gives many more voices in court. Short-term changes to expect. Deportations previously fast-tracked may pause or slow. Non-priority cases might be reassessed under new standard. Some removal orders might be reopened, but that depends case by case. Courts and agencies may delay implementation while policies are updated. Important: no one is magically granted status overnight. This is about process and enforcement, not mass legalization. What the ruling doesn't do: it does not grant citizenship or legal status to undocumented immigrants. It doesn't expand visa quotas or overhaul green card rules. It doesn't eliminate deportations altogether, only regulates how they happen. It doesn't override Congress. Legislation still drives immigration law. So, while intense, this is not a silver bullet. It's a structural shift, not a status fix. Risks, challenges, and legal battles ahead. Interpreting priorities will be contested. Courts will be asked to define who qualifies. Agencies must revise internal policies and train staff. This takes time. Resource constraints. Courts already strained. Adding new layers of review may overwhelm them. State-level resistance. Some states may challenge federal priorities or push for stricter local enforcement. Potential executive pushback. Future administrations may test or narrow this discretion. How you navigate this if you're affected. 1. Stay informed. Watch how IC, DHS, and immigration courts update their policies. 2. Document everything. Maintain records of your time in the U.S., community ties, family status, etc. 3. Don't skip hearings. Missing an appointment can be fatal to your case. 4. Consult licensed immigration attorneys only. Avoid rumors or unverified advice. 5. Consider reopening cases if you believe your prior removal was flawed under the new standard. 6. Be proactive, not reactive. Act early while the legal landscape is shifting. Each case is unique. What works for one person may not apply to another. Big picture. What comes next? This decision may become a catalyst. Congress could feel renewed pressure to pass immigration reform, balancing enforcement and fairness. More court challenges will define enforcement priorities in practice. Agencies will adapt. Policies once thought rigid may now bend under scrutiny. Public debate will intensify, but now with legal teeth. Key takeaways. The Supreme Court ruling affirms executive discretion, but only with constitutional guardrails. Deportations must follow due process, not arbitrary removal. Long-time residents and low-risk individuals may gain stronger legal defenses. This decision does not legalize undocumented immigrants or change quotas, but changes how enforcement must act. The real fight now moves to agencies, courts, and Congress. If you like this video, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon for future updates. Thanks for watching Immiscope. See you in the next video.